Looks like the calm weather is going to continue for the weekend. The red snapper season is open now in the Gulf, and everyone should have a good chance to catch a limit. For all the freshwater guys, it looks like bass and crappie are starting to move a little deeper from the water warming up. If you want to know more, listen up. It's time for the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
It's time to get excited because the Texas Insider Fishing Report starts now. We're your hosts, Captain Rick Murphy and Brie Gabrielle, and already soaring into June, which not only means closer to summertime fishing patterns, but we're also celebrating this June baby's birthday. Happy early birthday, Rick.
How about it?
Woohoo!
The June month. We, in the Murphy household, Brie,
we
celebrate all 30 days of June.
Well, that's lucky. Mm-hmm. Do you feel old?
I got 30 presents.
You look old. You got 30 presents?
They better have 30 presents for me.
Oh, they better. I know what happens when they don't. We're celebrating with big bites, and of course, Dave Farrell at the workbench, who's always ready to party, aren't you, Dave?
I don't think anybody knows my birthday. I don't think anybody. Birthday comes and goes. Nobody. How old are you, Dad? I don't know.
You stopped having birthdays, Dave.
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A long time ago, unfortunately.
Well, maybe that's the way to go. Maybe we should start forgetting them,
Worked
too.
for me.
Yeah. All right, well, first up, we're seeing how June is treating the Alvey Reels Lower Coast region. So, Captain Kinney, give us the scoop.
Tell you what, the weather is looking good this weekend, so that means better for inshore, even better for offshore. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some redfish and actually some sheephead here for the inshore stuff. Redfish are still holding it at 1 to 3 foot of water, but we got a lot higher tides up here. We got a lot of rain, a lot of fresh water. Tides went up literally 1.5 feet, 2 foot, which is a lot for us. So what it does, it really scatters a lot of those fish. So what you really want to do now is utilize your shallow sport boat. You can go a lot of places you normally can't, but you can slowly cruise that thing, get it down to maybe like 20, 19, 20, 21 mile an hour. Do a bunch of S-turns in those flats, so you can take a look for redfish movement and for the bait up there. You'll actually see some tire tracks from four-wheelers. I mean, the water's so high. When you get up there and you do find some bait, drift downwind, of course, or get out and wade, but try some mirror lure top waters early. They're still looking like that. They mimic a great fresh mullet that's up there. And if you're using bait, fresh mullet and menhaden are also working well when the water's really muddy and windy or higher, especially if you're patient enough to get some of that stuff on the bottom, let that smell get out there. When you're fishing some of that deeper water, the fish start falling out like that, then the saltwater assassin's definitely a go-to. Maybe move to a paddle tail. Anything in chartreuse, I love chartreuse tail when you go to a paddle tail. Working with an eagle claw 1/8 ounce jig head. And there's been plenty of undersized redfish with some slot size mixed in there, so at least it keeps you busy and keeps you in action. And I see, look for live productivity start picking up once this water starts dropping and stuff. I'll be talking to you guys the rest in the shows coming up, but those start falling off the flats and start congregating more. But right now, just definitely utilize your tools as far as your boat and your eyes and go out there and look for them. Moving over to sheephead, something we don't talk about, but maybe once or twice a year. And this is the time of year that they're normally not really biting heavy, but they're a lot of fun to catch. And in the Brownsville Ship Channel has been really good. So if you're down around that South Padre Island area, even in Port Mansfield down here, you can land over there and make a swing at it. The Ship Channel is about the best thing right now with some live shrimp or frozen shrimp, free line, or use a little small pinch weight, on there and pitch it against the pilings. Popping cork's working good with a longer leader. Works well with that. You can also attach some smaller fish bite strips. Works well rigged up for that for the sheephead. They got really heavy teeth and stuff, so check your leaders and everything else when you get into them. So really good. Use those fish strips on a Carolina rig. Works really good. Look for currents, kind of like especially around jetties, but in the rocks there or pilings. But look for eddies, little drop-offs to hold these fish. And whichever method basically is working the best for you that day, go ahead and stick with that. I'll start out with the shrimp on the bottom, maybe a little pinch weight, the popping cork, whatever's producing the best. Kind of move the rest of your rigs going that route. Moving to offshore, like Rick mentioned, federal water snapper season is open. It opened June 1 there, so it's good to go. There's been a lot of kingfish showing up also state and in the federal waters there. So federal water season on snapper, which means right now you can go past the 9 nautical miles and you're allowed 2 per person, 16-inch minimum. There's plenty of fish out there, especially guys up around the Corpus, Fort Day area that doesn't have as much natural structure as we got down here. Now's the time to get out there, utilize your boat, and have a lot of fun. Fish oil platforms, wrecks out there, natural structure to target them. A great way to fish for these fish is actually finding them. Say if you're fishing 150 foot of water or so, look for some suspended fish. And like doing this for a few reasons I'll explain to you, but you can chum them up, get them up a little higher in the water column, 30, 50 foot below. You can start jigging them. They don't get the bends this way. They fight a lot harder. You can release some, doesn't hurt them at all. They'll fight really good, keep a couple for dinner, and move on. And when you're using those jigs, that 2 to 5 ounce Eagle Claw chokeout jig tipped with a fish bite strip works well. They can damage the heck out of that stuff, and they'll keep on working. You can catch multiple fish on just the one strip with that jig. Heading to the kingfish, they're showing up. The blue water's been moving in closer and stuff, so look for structure and bait balls on this. So these fish are out 150, 200 feet all the way into the state water stuff into 20 foot of water. I like trolling 2 lines. I'll explain you that one, but 2 lines with a Penn Torque 30 wide. I troll a mirror lure divers rigged with some wire and throwing them 5 to 7 knots for best results. These fish are real, aggressive and fast. So check your leaders, main lines, also your baits and hooks. Pretty much every time you go out and set it, make sure your stuff's running straight, make sure it's all kinked up. But what happens on these 2 lines, it allows you to turn a lot quicker if you're working a rig or a bait ball or on your structure. You get turned a lot faster, you're not going to get all tangled up. And especially if you hit a monster kingfish, 40, 50, 60 pounder wax it, and you got 5 lines out there, more than likely it's going to tangle up or get cut off on one of them. So if you fish a 2, that's plenty out there. Just target them good and you'll have a lot better luck that way.
Well, thank you, Chad. Great report from the Alvey Lower Coast region. It's going to take a look at the shallow sport boats hotspot. Chad says that inshore, you want to look for some sheepheads in the Brownsville Ship Channel and some scattered around the lower coast jetties. The redfish are still in the flats in 1 to 3 feet of water. And then offshore, federal water snapper season opened on June 1st. So try your favorite structure to catch the red snappers.
Well, Rick, you were crying about it before the show, but let's see what biggins the lower fresh region is bringing us this week on Lake Falcon, Travis, Buchanan, Somerville, and Fayette County. Matt, let's get June started off right and make this birthday boy jealous.
All right, birthday boy. You got to make a return trip.
All right.
Let's talk about the lakes in that South Texas region. We're going to start off with the bass. Mike Bates has sent me a report from Choke Canyon. The lake came up about 5 feet with this rain. The mud line is between Callahan Park and Weesatch Island. Some of the muddy areas are beginning to clear up, and the bass are very active in those. The rising water scattered them from shallow to deep. So the best thing you can do is cover a ton of water right now. The hydrilla is growing very fast with the new water over the top and the sunshine. Just keep covering the water. The shallow water bass are biting moving baits, spinner baits, square bills, rattle baits, that kind of stuff. The hydrilla bass are biting better on Texas rig soft plastics. And there's still some fish out deep on the humps and drops. Crankbaits and Carolina rigs and 1 ounce spinner baits are catching those best. Brian Cotter sent me a report from the Austin area. Lake Travis is fishing very well. The fish are starting their summer schooling activities around the marinas and the deep points on the main lake. You can throw topwater walking baits, or popping baits are the best way to catch those fish. If you get one to blow up on it that misses it, throw right back in with a small swim bait and just let it fall. You'll probably hit it on a slack line falling through the shed. A jerk bait will also work in that situation sometimes. After schooling slows down, get your favorite Texas rig soft plastic and hit the bluff walls. You catch a lot of fish on those walls right now in the 10 to 35 foot depth. Just let it fall down the wall and watch for it to stop falling, check it, and see if one's on there. Lake Buchanan is also fishing well. You can't go wrong with the topwater there right now. The shallow fish are biting top waters all around the bulkheads and docks and so forth. They're schooling a little bit on the points, and it's a mixed bag. You got largemouth whites, hybrids, and stripers all in the same school, and you might get a surprise mixed in with those largemouth and catch a 20 or 30 pound big old striper. If you want to chase specifically a bigger largemouth, go to the deep rocks, throw a jig with a crawworm trailer. That's the best way to catch a big one. Greg Boyd sent me a report from Somerville. Largemouth are biting really well. Midday is the best bite with this passing full moon that just went fast. Lipless and square bill cranks are working well around the rocks. Frogs are good in the flooded brush on the west end of the lake. Green pumpkin and dark plastic stickworms are doing best when the fish are acting finicky. Fayette County has been fair. earlier this week. Good to solid fish along the reeds early in the morning on chatterbaits, swim jigs, frogs. From mid-morning on, move out to the main lake drop-offs to just discharge in road beds with a Carolina rig stick bait. 15 to 25 foot of water has been the key depth there. Green pumpkin with gold flake has been the best color. Down at my baby, Falcon Lake, just keeps rolling. My numbers were down a little bit last week, but my average size was up. Still catching over 30 fish a day. Throw a Texas rig 10-inch worm or Carolina rig a fluke, or also a big stand-up head with a big piece of worm, a big 8-inch stick bait style worm. Concentrate on the rock structure in 8 to 15 feet, and we have caught a lot of big ones lately. Got a picture there of Ryan, one of my customers last week, with a big old fat falcon fish. That fish has been eating well.
That's because I ain't there, dog. What else you got for us, Matt?
We got some white bass and hybrids Lake Somerville. They're schooling. Watch for the birds. Get you a top water or small, or a popper or a walking bait when they're on top. They'll blast it when they go down. Look for them on your electronics. Chartreuse and white slab spoon in that 6 to 12 foot range has led to easy limits.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. Good report. We're going to go and take a look at the FiberTech hotspots from the lower fresh region. Matt says the Falcon Lake bass are biting and big. Throw soft plastics to rock structure in 8 to 15 feet on Texas rigs, Carolina rigs, and stand-up head techniques are working really well.
All right, well, we're taking a glimpse into the Garmin Middle Coast region when we come back. But first, Dave Farrell is on his A game at the workbench for rigs and techniques. Dave, what knowledge are you placing upon us today?
I don't know I'm on my A game yet.
You're always
I'm
on
gonna
your
be,
A
hopefully, but come on, don't
jinx you.
Yeah, there you go. Hype me all up. We're gonna be talking about braid and mono, about how to take care of it.
All right.
Well, you
Tie
look
some
good,
knots.
so that's good. I like your gloves.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Bajío. Fresh eyes for a rich life. Garmin. Plot your paradise. FiberTech. Leaders in fiberglass fabrication and repair. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. Penn. Let the battle begin. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Your time on the water is precious. You return season after season to make unforgettable memories, fight a few fish, reconnect with friends, and recenter yourself. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters stay with Yamaha for the long run, for life. They know reliability starts here.
Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Kick your gas into gear with StarTron.
For the Bay and beyond, team up with the best and rule the Bay in a Skeeter. Proven with 20 consecutive NMMA Consumer Satisfaction Awards. And now, through June 21st, you can launch into your summer with sizzling rebates of up to $2,500. Versatility, control, performance, and design. The Skeeter Summer Sizzling Savings Event is happening now through June 21st. Visit your local dealer or online at SkeeterBoats.com. Skeeter, it's more than just a boat, it's a lifestyle.
Have you ever felt your heart pounding while feeling the power of a tarpon in the Florida Keys? Or experienced the changing colors of a mahi as you bring it on board? Whether it's in the Bahamas, the Florida Keys, Guatemala, or the Florida Everglades, Murphy's Law Sports Fishing has the ability to guide you to the fish of a lifetime. To book your trip today, call 305-246-0673 or go to murphyslawsportfishing.com. You know, Dave, I must admit that this is probably one of my favorite parts of the show, whether it's the Texas or the Florida show, talking about rigs and techniques. I learn so much every week, so why don't we just get right into it?
I'm going to talk a little bit about braid and mono. You know, we use a lot of braid nowadays because it casts a long way, but there's good things and bad things about braid and mono. You know, any of them will make a big loop knot on you. I don't care what kind of spinning reel you use. I mean, everybody makes claims, but I've used every one, and eventually I've managed to throw a wind knot in it. One thing that when you do throw one of those things, when you get that loop out and it's starting to come out, try not to go ahead and flip the bail and keep pulling it out, because if you do that, you're going to make a bigger and bigger mess. If you instead keep the bail closed and just loosen the drag and pull from the side and keep pulling and pulling and pulling, you won't keep, and you can keep that loop from spinning up around everything, you'll get that wind knot out a lot quicker. One thing that you learned tonight, don't flip the bail, undo the drag, and pull it out. Pull it out from the side instead. Because braid's expensive, you know, and I like to buy big bulks of braid because the little ones are kind of expensive for the 300 yards. This is a lot cheaper when you do it this way, and you can keep spooling spinning reel after spinning reel after spinning reel. There's a lot of braid on there. You know, it's like 1,000 yards of braid. You know, you can fill them up. But also, I like 3,000 yards. I mean, but I like to put a big bunch of mono underneath. You know, you only need 200 yards of braid. You know, I don't care how big your spinning reel is. If you want about 100 yards further than your furthest cast. And you ain't casting. Not many people are casting 100 yards with a regular spinning reel. You know, if you're on a surf casting, you could do it longer. But most of the time, 100 yards further than your longest cast is enough braid to put on. And you put it in half, fill up half your spool with some good monofilament. Do a loop-to-loop knot like this right here.
Right.
You know, it's a very thin knot. It disappears. You have a little spider hitch on each end and to just make a loop, and then you put the loop through.
Yeah.
And loop-to-loop together. And it makes a very small knot, so you can just add on and add on and add on. And after a while, you cut it all off and put you a new one on. Now, and
then you keep the loop.
Correct.
So you're looping the braid off and putting the new braid, looping it back in.
Yeah, you can put it on and off that way. So, and not only that, some guys will put braid on the bottom. If you're offshore fishing, and you want, say you're wahoo fishing, high-speed trolling, you put a ton of braid on your 30 or 50 pound. You can put 2,000 yards of 80-pound braid on a big 80. You know, and then you put 200 or 300 yards of stretchy 130-pound mono on top of it. That way, when you get those strikes, really hard strikes from wahoos and whatnot, you got that big stretch. Because believe it or not, monofilament stretches 10 to 20, sometimes even 30% when it's wet. So that can be a long way. When you've got 75, 80 feet of line out, and then you got 8 more feet of stretch, you could be jerking on the rod and never even pull the stretch out of the line, let alone move the other end. So, you got to keep that in mind. You also keep in mind that all these are test way higher than they actually are. But I just want to show you real quick. I got a scale here, a little Shadlon scale and a spinning reel. And I got 15-pound test braid to 30-pound test mono. And if you just put that loop around there, I'm going to show you a little bit about what the actual pound test means, Because you can read that scale. You can see where that little thing is at. I mean, that's as high as, I've got it marked at 15, but I think we're way past that now. If you keep going, it'll get to 30 pounds.
Dave.
I broke the rod.
4, Dave.
See there?
That's what happens when you high stick stuff.
Yeah, well look, my knots didn't break here. 15-pound braid, the knot didn't break.
I can't even see.
It's 30. It goes all the way.
What's that say?
We broke it at 30 the other day. So
I can't tell.
It's way past 15.
I don't know. I can't see. I can't see.
It's because you're 59.
Anyway, I just wanted to show you. I just wanted to show people what 15-pound test braid can pull. I had that thing locked down, and if you imagine if you were using 50-pound. And a lot of guys I know bass fish with 50-pound test. You're never going to break that. You'll break a lot of rods before you
But
break that.
this rod's rated for 8 to 12 pound
I know,
test.
I know.
And you just,
I know. I pulled the heck out of it with 15.
When you lean back and high stick it, it breaks every time.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what it is.
Well, it's 15-pound test line was my point.
Yes.
That did not. This line did not break. The rod broke way before the 15-pound test braid did.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to point out. This stuff is strong.
Dave, you made your point. I am proud of you. At least the rod broke and not the knot. Because
the knot didn't break, man.
The
Look
knot
at that
didn't
F and G
break.
knot.
That's perfect. FG knot.
F&G knot.
That is my
I say
favorite.
it's F and G.
Oh, all right.
Now I got to pay for a rod.
Okay, June is already looking good for you anglers in the Garmin Middle Coast region. So let's see what reports and predictions Captain Bink Grimes has for us. Go ahead, Bink.
We're so happy that June's finally here, and with it, our lighter winds and our summer fishing pattern. East Matagorda Bay has really turned on. Lots of big trout caught and released while waiting and drifting. It's been a little while since we've been able to fish it due to high winds, but man, those waters are calm right now, and are greening up with the tide. And we've had trout up to 8 pounds that we've caught and released. In Port O'Connor, Guy Linsmith said he's been hammering trout on chicken on a chain bass assassins. He said the harder the wind blows, the better the fishing. Most of the trout have been in the 19 to 20 inch class. He said good old red white paddle tails have worked good when nothing else fails. I was down there last week as well, and man, we caught and released so many fish. All of them up to 4 pounds. It's just a good wading spot there down in Port O'Connor. Good trout have also been found on the sand and grass right there around Pascaval on the incoming tide. There's just a lot of quality fish down there right now, and it's really we're really excited about it for this summer. Many of the guides are drifting the West Bay grass beds. Fish have been in the 4 to 9 foot of water range on the edge of flat. Waders have been found. They're finding fish on the edge as well. Some with live bait, some with bass assassins, some with mirror sheep pups. The sand and grass potholes around Rockport are holding trout on an incoming tide. The boaters, they're working the outside of Trader Island, while the waders are throwing topwaters along the St. Joe shoreline. The incoming tide's been best. Those slicks will start coming in around Mud Island and Super Flats, and waders throwing mirror softines and small topwaters have caught good fish. Then around there in Freeport, anglers have worked at edge of reefs on live shrimp under cork. They've also worked tight to the rocks there at the jetty with calm winds and green tides. Man, those jetty rocks really perform. There's a photo there of a trout of a lifetime caught on the green tide there in East Matagorda Bay. We're going to do that. We're going to fish that pattern all this week. Redfish, guide Brett Sweeney's been pulling up on sand flats and waiting for the reds to come to him. He's waiting for those tides to usher in those small minnows in about 1 to 2 foot of water. In Port O, Pringle Lake, good old gold spoons, the small topwaters. Drifting those back lakes with live shrimp and gold spoons have worked as well. It's been a better bite in the afternoon with the bright moon, and all those back lake, all that whole game and that whole pattern is good with better tides. As always, the jetties from Freeport to Port Aransas have been holding solid numbers of redfish. Lots of oversized bulls along the rocks, but there's a lot of slot-sized reds as well. Matagorda redfish have been found in Oyster Lake, Crab Lake, Twin Islands, and Shell Islands. It hasn't been fast or furious, but if you're fishing from point to point, you can scratch a limit of reds. Be prepared for small, undersized reds out there, which is good for the kids. A lot of good action. Offshore, man, it's the month of June. Red snapper for recreational fishermen has opened up, and we've got light winds, and we've got seas less than 2 foot, and man, they've really been getting after them out there. Expect more pressure on the red snapper this year since the CCA Star has reinserted the red snapper division. They've taken out the trout division to keep pressure off the trout, but they've opened up some more offshore options to give people more opportunity. Guide Michael Gubecka said the kingfish are all around the rig. He's been trolling ribbon fish and deep diving lures. A lot of big red snapper out there right now. 20 pounds already been caught. So we're really excited about June in the Garmin Middle Coast region. It's my favorite month to fish. But we ask you, please, please, please practice good stewardship. Take care of those trout. Keep only a few, and please, please, please release the rest.
All right, thank you so much, Bink. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the MirrOlure hotspots. He says that the trout are good while waiting near Pascavallo on Bass Assassins, and MirrOlure soft dines. The redfish are good on Estes Flat near Rockport on them live shrimp.
Definitely no June and gloom here, Rick.
No. What you got?
What? Don't even. All right, here's your weekly reminder that if you would like a chance to win this beautiful truck that stares us in the face every week, you have to purchase raffle tickets at ccaflorida.org/hot rod, which it is.
I got a video we're gonna put up in another week or so.
Yeah?
Going
So we can just
around-
fall in love with it even more?
Going around NASCAR track in the
Oh,
truck.
come on,
It was
man.
so much
Come
fun.
on. You're going to want to purchase raffle
100
tickets
mile
after
an hour.
that.
Oh, it was so
I'm going to go
fun.
buy another 10 after that video.
It was so bad.
All right, hey, party
go.
people, get ready for some birthday shenanigans in the Startron Middle Fresh and Fish Bites Upper Coast region when we come back. But before we go, remember to keep up with everything fishing in Texas. Make sure to head on over to our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and to see new fishing adventures with reports, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. See you soon.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, always in the game. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Alvy Reels, a better way to fish. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Penn, let the battle begin.
The Yamaha VMAX V6 SHO continues to deliver the level of performance that pro bass and multi-species anglers demand. Underneath a bold and aggressive new look, an upgraded charging system with 40% more charging power meets the amped-up demand for today's advanced electronics. The VMAX SHO, raw power, reliability, and exhilarating performance for every angler who loves the sport enough to invest in the best. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites. We are the Fish Bites Nation, and this is your invitation. So grab some fish bites and get busy casting, because you can't join the nation without doing the catching. Ask for Fish Bites or Fish Bites Fight Club lures, or visit fishbites.com.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the extension kit that you might need for your charge system. Now let me explain a little further. You know, always in technical poling skiffs and a lot of these bay boats, your cranking battery for your big motor is not necessarily in the same place as your trolling motor batteries, because we use the battery weight for ballast. So my Maverick in particular has the trolling motor batteries all the way up in the bow, where the charge is mounted inside the console, and I don't have long enough lead. So Power Pole created an extension kit for your charge, and it's really simple. All we're gonna simply do is cut the wires that are going to the trolling motor batteries, and this extension kit is easily shrink wrap the wires, and now you have the ability to have the batteries in one place and your charge system in another place. So if you have any questions about the charge, you can simply go to powerpole.com, and that's today's PowerPole tip of the week. You know, Brie, the new Pathfinder that I have actually has the PowerPole charge in the console, and it's so cool to be able to open up the hatch and monitor exactly what's going on. But more importantly, I use the app. I'll be in bed sometimes and go, I wonder what's going on with my batteries. And I can look it up right
when
there,
you're in bed.
clicking the back. Well, you know, you think about things.
Yeah, you think about like
what you got to do the next
wrapping
day.
up the day.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It ain't always about, you know.
Okay, the Startown Middle Fresh region is here to give you some updates on LBJ and
Except on your birthday month.
Toledo Bend. So let's
Keep
hear
reading, Brie.
how this first weekend of June will be treating us. Please hurry up, Matt.
Hurry.
Get to the reports.
All right, Brie, we'll get right to it. We're going to kick it off with bass in the southwest corner of the Middle Fresh region. I'm going to report on LBJ for the first time in a few weeks. My old buddy Jared Poole there with Hill Country Hammer Guides and Outfitters has sent me a great report. He said got some really good news on LBJ right now about some grass. He said that for the first time in 2 years, they're seeing some hydrilla growth. And everybody in Texas knows that hydrilla grass means better bass fishing. So that's great to hear. That's really good news. I know Jared is excited for the opportunities that that's going to provide those guys. And he said that they're already catching some fish out of it. They're catching fish on frogs early in the morning and late in the evening around that hydrilla, and also in the lily pad. And he said he's also catching some fish on topwater walking bait. And then a swim jig has been providing a bunch of fish for him as well around reeds and around brush piles. And he sent a photo for me to show you guys of some really fat LBJ bass. You got Justin, Kurt, and Cutter there with some really fat ones. You can tell that lake is healthy, and those bass are just fat and happy. So
yes,
good
they
to
are.
see that. Now we're going to talk about Toledo Bend real quick. We've still got a ton of high water here. The lake's still above full pool level, and the dam operators still have the floodgates open for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 weeks in a row now, trying to get this thing down. We've just had a ton of rain lately, so there continues to be a lot of current moving through Toledo Bend. Not something we normally see a lot of this time of year, but it has not slowed down the fishing at all. So the bite has been great lately. A lot of fish are being caught in bushes, and they're officially in the early summertime feeding pattern now. There's no more spawning going on, and the key is to find the heavy concentrations of shad or brim in the shallow areas where there's some good-looking bushes or some cypress trees, and those bass have good cover to hang out in around that bait, and they're going to be there. This is where I really love to throw that Bass Assassin skunkbait. It's a great pitching bait around those bushes and trees. My go-to color right now is going to be the Houdini because it mimics the shad so well. And I use that on a Texas rig with big trocar flipping hook. Put that out there and you'll be in business. Now switching over to white bass, they are really loving the current running through Toledo Bend right now as well. They're ganging up out there in about 20 to 30 foot of water on the main lake where the shad are ganged up on points or flats. And we're catching those on silver and gold jigging spoons as well as minnows when they're not biting quite as well. We're fishing all 3 of those baits close to the bottom. The stronger the current is, the tighter they hold to the bottom, so keep that in mind. And they've just been absolutely chomping. It's been a ton of fun this week catching those. Got another photo here for you of some ladies and gentlemen with a nice table full of those white bass, and I think we caught some crappie in there that day as well. And lastly, we're going to talk about those crappie. On Toledo Bend, they've been really munching as well. The current has changed things up a little bit. It does move them around some, but they're sure ready to feed now. The vast majority of those are done spawning, and they've made their way back out to the deeper water. They're hanging in that 15 to 28 foot range around the timber. Some of them are stuck to the bottom due to the current, so you can drop all the way to the bottom for them. And then some of them are suspending up in the trees fighting that current about 10 to 15 foot down. The Panfish Assassin jig in the Mama's 14 karat color have been really good on a 16th ounce jig head. And I got one last photo for you of 4 guys from Arkansas holding up some of those nice flats.
All right, I got a couple questions for you. First off, if a guy wants to go fishing with you, what does he do? How can he get in touch with you?
Easiest way to do it is to go to ltd.fish. That's our website. You can book everything online yourself right there. Or if you want to give us a call, the phone number's there as well. You can get all the information right there on our website.
You know, Matt, sometimes bass fishing can be a little bit monotonous because you really don't have it going on, meaning your pattern's a little off. So if you go to make an adjustment, let's say you're throwing a Carolina rig and you decide it's not working, you've been fishing it for a few hours, haven't had a bite, what are you gonna do to adjust? How are you gonna give our advice to our viewers about that?
Well, you know, on these Great Lakes that we've got here in the Middle Fresh region, they're all so healthy and full of fish. If you're going a long time without getting a bite, best advice I can give you is just go looking, go try something different. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go hunt down the bait. You know, if you're seeing a little bit of bait here and there, that's not good enough. Just keep going until you find a lot of bait. When you start seeing a lot of bait fish, whether it's shallow or deep on your electronics, that's when you're going to be around those better concentrations of fish, and then you can start experimenting with different baits on how to catch them.
All right, guys, there you got it from our expert guide from the Middle Fresh region. He says that we need to go this weekend. Bass are still feeding in the shallow areas around the grass and those bushes. The white bass are in 20 to 30 feet biting spoons, and crappie are in 15 to 28 feet around the timber. Look at how his hotspots just tell you exactly what you need to go do right now. If you're crappie fishing, white bass fishing, or bass fishing, take his advice and go start with those little tidbits. It'll really help. It'll change.
Hotspots.
Hotspots
Hence,
is what it's all about.
Hotspots.
That's
All right,
it.
Captain Carl Weston is your best bet for the best bite in the Fish Bites Upper Coast region. So let's see what we're catching this weekend. Go ahead, Carl.
Hey, Rick and Brie. Well, with all this muddy water, our best chance in our area right now is to fish out near the jetties. We have such an influx from the rivers dumping this muddy old water into the bays and out of the bayous that it's pushing out towards the Gulf. So the good place to fish right now is around the jetties. We get an influx of water coming on an ingoing tide. It's not a whole lot, but it runs along the rocks. And right now, fish like the little convicts, our little sheepshead are running along that mud line also, chasing bait, getting in there trying to feed on those little crabs and the little finger mullet and the shrimp. So right now, that's your best bet. The water is nasty. So as far as the options go, just like we touched on, small crabs or shrimp. As for artificial, we tried a shrimp-flavored piece of fish bite on a 2-ounce slip rig with about a 3-foot piece of diamond alloy fluorocarbon, and we tied on a little 3-aught Eagle Claw treble hook, and it's worked perfect. This rig has been a hit, and what's nice about the fish bites is you get 2 or 3 strikes, Rick, and it stays on. And you know, these fish are they're little bait robbers, so it really helps. And we have a picture of a little sheepshead here today.
Yep, there's proof that he's a robber. He's already dressed in stripes.
Sheepies.
Jail time in his future.
So looking at trout this week, you know, the sun came out a little bit. The weather conditions are definitely improving, and the fishing's just going to get better from here on out. There's some really nice days scheduled this week, minus the mosquitoes. They're going to be thick, so don't forget your repellent. Then the water temps have crept up a few degrees. The visibility is getting a little better along the rocks and the deep water potholes, and it's easy to identify. And I would like, you know, to stay away from the bays, stay away from the rivers like we touched on in the previous segment. And they're dangerous too right now because they're running so strong. The current in these rivers, they're up, the Brazos, everything is up, and it's running strong. So fish along the grass banks where there's some good tide movement, and you'll see the bait. You know, early morning, look up for the birds and the oil slicks as always. And we've been using a finger mullet on a popping cork for a light colored topwater, like a mirror lure mirrodine in a light color. We have a picture of Richard with a little fish today.
Nice. All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Let's run offshore, boss. Red snapper. Okay, guys, here we go. 2021 kickoff of the red snapper season. It seems like forever for these tasty little things, but it's finally here. So I would say grab your favorite bottom fishing rod and reel, box of cigar minnows, pack your fish bite, fish box we talked today, full of ice. Now, with the daily bag limits they put in place here for the last, I don't know how many years, it seems forever, the snapper have really flourished here in the Upper Coast. The schools that I'm marking right now on structure have gained in both size and numbers. The fish are bigger. Looking back 10 years ago, you know, a 10-pound fish was front page news. Nowadays, we catch the guys up 20 plus. And as we touched on last week about the addition into the CCA Star Tournament, this should be a really fun season to watch what comes into the scales. And we've fished just a simple bottom rig. It's a deep drop rig made of 80-pound diamond, 6 to 8/0 eagle claw, circle hook, and whatever weight depending on the tide. And we have JT today with a snapper.
Nice.
Let's move right over to Dorado.
Okay.
So the mahi are in, and we've been talking about them for weeks. The weather has held us out a little bit, but the Dorado bite is really picking up this week. We've had those strong east and southeast winds, and over here, Rick, that pushes a lot of grass and debris right into our tide line. And this is just a place to fish because it's full of bait, and that's where you're going to run this time of year. Well, all summer, actually. So the strong winds that have made the conditions great in the current break, though, have also been what's keeping us at the dock. But between fronts, we've had some calm days, and the fish are out there, and they're hungry. We've been trolling a few different colored mahi magnets from R&R Tackle, and the Dorado love these things, hence mahi magnets. And got a fish. We got a picture. A picture of Tosh today with 2 mahi.
Man, that's cool. I guess Tosh still knows how to catch one, does she,
She's
Carl?
a mahi magnet.
Yes, she is a magnet.
All right. Well, congratulations to the two of you. If you didn't know, they actually,
I knew.
She caught Carl.
I know.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the R&R tackle hotspots from the Upper Coast region. Inshore, Sheepshead fishing a cut piece of shrimp-flavored fish bites and then rig that on a slip rig with an eagle claw treble hook along the rock jetties. And then offshore, Dorado's trolling the R&R tackle mahi magnet at 8 knots is going to get the job done around those weed lines, guys.
Also known as Natasha.
Natasha.
Mahi magnet.
Yes.
All right, we've got more parting to do. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
In the Upper Fresh region.
Here
But
we go.
first, Dave's throwing a new products party for Captain Rick at the workbench. Give us a sneak peek, Dave.
Yeah, we got you covered from head to toe. Look at that.
Oh,
There we
he's
go.
taking all that
Head
home.
to toe. Yeah, exactly.
All that home. Presents. It's 30 days starts now.
That's it.
We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miralure. Diamond Fishing Products. Our reputation is on the line. R&R Tackle. From our tackle box to yours. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Startron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
The only reel with over 100 years of heritage. Alvi Sidecast reels allow you to cast over 150 yards with up to 900 yards of capacity. Alvi's state-of-the-art drag and 22-inch retrieve rate per wine is perfect for any surf challenge. Alvi reels are manufactured to best practice standards and are in fact so robust that the Alvi also comes with a 10-year salt and sand warranty. For more information, go to alvius.com.
So Dave, we've got the Bahio nippers, and the cool part about this is, let me explain to you what I've learned. When you look at a light bulb and there's that haze around it, that haze is caused by blue light.
Right.
The sun produces 22% of the light it produces, which is the most, is blue light. There's other colors that a lot of our competitors' lenses have been built on. The reason why these nippers or the Bahio line is because we're removing the blue light.
Right.
That's what makes it so clear.
Clears them up, that's for sure.
And it doesn't matter whether you get with copper lenses, gray lenses, the vermilion or rose-colored lenses. The key is that it doesn't matter the selection of different color mirror. The key is that all the lenses are built by removing the blue light, hence is why it gives you so much more clarity. And that's what everybody says when they put them on.
That's correct.
Get
you some Bahio nippers.
BahioSunglasses.com is where you can find out.
Correct. Next, we got the Plano Edge 3600 there. It's a tackle system that Plano came out with. They got the nice crystal clear lid. You can open it with one hand. It's got this one long thing on the side there, so you can open the whole thing with just one hand. It's got a really nice, well, sometimes you can. There you go.
Oh, you got to know how to do it.
Exactly, you got to do it. It's got a nice O-ring system in there that keeps everything dry. Tightly spaced dividers. You can, that one there is called the regular Edge, and because it's got the 3 dividers in there, it limits you to how many you can do. With the Flex, the one below you, it doesn't have those 3 dividers in it, so you can make that thing however many you want.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, you can put you can make that thing into 1,000 little different ways.
Do you happen to know how big of boxes
these
go
are
up
11.
to?
Those are 11 by 17. Actually, they make great big deep ones too. They also come, if you open that one back up again, it comes with this little joker right here, which is a water wick, and what it does is it keeps it. If any dampness gets in there, it sucks up that moisture. It's got a whole thing is made out of this. It's got a rust stopper involved as well, and it's got a nice little labeling system on the side. Really strong. Hinges on the back, so it's hard to break it. The Edge and the Edge Flex from PlanoMolding.com. Just really nice. You can get those anywhere.
All right. Now,
we got the Berkeley Limited Edition translucent gulps. Now, I put another gulp here just so you could show you what they are.
I'm just going to pull these blue ones out.
Yeah, they're pretty. They come in 4 different colors and 3. In the 3-inch and the 4-inch.
Look at this, Dave. I want you to look at this.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's the difference. The other ones were, they
is
still
old
they have
technology?
they have the same juice, same scent, same disbursement system, except now they can do it with that clear, that translucent look, which makes it really nice. Obviously, lifelike patterns. These are coming out right now in June. They're just now coming to hit in the stores. Should be right now. I can't believe you're eating those things because they don't smell very good.
I wanted to see if they taste the same.
Oh, well, there you go. Like I said, 3 and 4-inch, first ever clear color, 4 different colors in 3 and 4-inch. So
very good.
Get your Berkeley gulp there.
Okay.
Next, we have some Magellan Outdoors fishing shoes. These are the men's Pro Angler right here. Very nice shoe. EVA midsole, removable insole as well, but it's perforated. These things are perforated all the way through the bottom as well, so they drain like crazy. You can see all these holes in here. A really nice mesh area, so that if you do get water in there, it's all going to come out pretty quick. And these are called the Men's Pro Angler. These are the Rayburn fishing shoe. These are like $10 cheaper than these. They have they're really nice. They have a really good padding on the toes and the heel, really rigid. They got the bungee
I like that.
Yeah, so you can just put them on and zip them down, and you take them off real easy as well. Non-marking, non-skid. You know, if you're looking for a good fishing shoe that's not very expensive, go to Academy Sports and get you some of these Magellan fishing shoes.
What size are those?
Those are way bigger than your little 8s.
Oh, that's
so
not nice.
rude.
It's his
That
birthday.
was like as rude
These
as
are
it gets.
10s.
He'll give you that shrimp for a snack on the way home, though.
There you go.
There you go.
Thanks.
All right, Lake Fork is on fire right now with an all-you-can-fish buffet, and Johnny Geis is on it. So Johnny, show Rick what a big bass birthday bite looks like in the upper fresh region.
Oh, hey, Rick and Bree, man, it is on fire on Lake Fork right now. This whole cool spring, these heavy rains, they kept these bass shallow much longer this year, but they were even still a few bass on the beds last week during the full moon. So the good news, though, is the majority of the bass about finished up. We're seeing more and more big bass gang up on offshore structure, and boy, they're starting to feed back up after the riggers and spawns. So the bass are foraging on all kinds of bait right now. The shad, the small yellow bass, and the brim are the main food source for the bass at this time on Fork. I'm seeing a lot of big bass on my Garmin live scope hanging around the brush piles now in the 20, 25 foot. So every brush pile right now is loaded with small crappie and bluegills, and all the bass has to do is rush into that brush pile, chase out the bait for an easy meal. Doesn't take them long to feed. The schools of big bass, though, when you get a bunch of them, they're schooling up on the long points and humps in 20 to 30 foot. That's their preferred feeding areas right now. Lake Fork has excellent offshore structure, and with today's electronics, it doesn't take long to find the best spots. This is the time of year when having good mapping and clear electronics is most valuable. I like to target that 20 to 30 foot contours by color coding this range on my electronics. This will quickly identify those long points that reach out to the deeper water. I'm finding the best points seem to drop off into that 40 foot or deeper. The bass will move up on the points to feed, and then they'll drop back and suspend. Heavy Carolina rig is the best way to catch these fish right now when they're near the bottom, and a deep crankbait and a heavy swim bait will catch the suspended fish. The major challenge during this time of year is hitting that right spot at the right time. Right now, the midday and late afternoon seem to be best, and it's working pretty good. Here's a picture of one of the bass that caught this last week off a brush pile. We actually watched this bass come out and eat the bait right next to this whole bunch of crappie we were catching.
Birthday bass.
Yep, okay, the crappie, talking about that, June's an excellent month for crappie on Lake Fork. Almost every one of these brush piles we're looking at is loaded up with crappie at this time. But the majority of them are small right now, under the 10-inch minimum. Obviously, Fork's had some excellent crappie spawns the last couple of years because we have a tremendous crop of 7, 8, 9-inch crappie showing up at this time. There's still plenty of 1 to 2 pound crappie to be caught, but you have to weed through a lot of small ones to reach 25 crappie person limit. We probably caught 100 a day that were under the 10 inches. We're mainly using minnows at this time, and on those days that the crappie are finicky, I'm cutting off a minnow head and using a smaller hook. A real good tip. This seems to be catching a lot of fish on those tough bite days. Another trick I'm using is also working great. I learned this one by accident. I'd cut up some earthworms in small pieces one day to use for bait to catch some brim. Not only did I catch the brim holding on the brush piles, but also started catching more keeper crappie on little small pieces of earthworms. So some crappie are also holding on the bridges right now, especially when we get the sun out, which hadn't happened much. And here's a picture of my guide friend, Terry Moon. She's having some great success. I saw her this afternoon, and she's fishing under a bridge. Look at the size of this slab she catches under that bridge.
Dang. All right.
Oh, the white bass, man, whatever you want to catch, we got it. The big sand bass are also biting great, and when I have customers who say, I just want to go have some nonstop action, catch a lot of fish, I take them to these sand bass holes. It usually doesn't take long to find the schools on the electronics. Once you find them, it is nonstop action. The main lure we're using is a 1-ounce silver slab. The best retrieve is to make a short cast, hop the bait right off the bottom. Watch that line close. Many times you'll see the bite before you feel it. We're catching channel catfish, freshwater drum, and occasional largemouth on the slabs as well. I've also
Also found that the big sand bass would hit pieces of cut brim when slowly retrieved along the bottom. Hook that bait on a Carolina rig and you'll catch fish on almost every cast, including sand bass, catfish, and even some largemouth bass. The Skeeter Owners Tournament, they're setting up down there right now. It's next week. We're expecting over 2,000 anglers to compete in hourly cash prizes and win a brand new Skeeter bass boat. It's a real big event here on Lake Fork. Skeeter owners from all over the United States will come to participate. The lake will be crowded. It already is, but the anglers usually catch a lot of giant Lake Fork bass during this event, and I'm expecting about 11 or 12 pounder to win the event this year. So come on out to Lake Fork, join in the activities, and catch us some of these big ones.
All right, thank you so much, Johnny. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the upper fresh hotspots. He says Lake Fork is turning on. The big bass, the big crappie, and big sand bass are biting great. All the species are moving out to 20 to 30 feet and getting into the summertime pattern. Try topwater baits for bass early, and then a Carolina rig with soft plastic on long points, crappie on minnows, and then jigs and brush piles. Also the sand bass on those slabs and small swim baits, Brie.
Well, Rick, you know, it's your birthday, so we can't end the show without having a cake for you.
Aww.
And you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one for each decade. And it's the last time you'll ever have 5 on this cake.
That's so
you better
rude.
blow out your candles and make a wish for your 59th year.
Good job, Dave.
Thanks
Dave,
for tuning
help
in,
me.
everybody.
I got him
We'll
from
see
a
you
long way
next
away.
week.
So old I couldn't blow.
I am so tempted to put this in your face, but I'm not going to.
Don't do
I won't
that.
do it.
Happy